Hello, everybody. I'm Roadblock, and we are on the free to play. And I'm very excited to share with you guys. So, I kind of made a little one off, I almost said non canon, but non episodic video talking about the success that I found in Clan Boss. And we're going to touch on that here, but I really want to talk a little bit more about it and then talk about what it unlocks for me as well. So, if we take a look at Clan Boss, you will see that I very easily 3-keyed Ultra Nightmare. 83.37 million, I need 70. I crushed it. Nightmare, I 1-keyed by a mile. Sorry, it took me so long to find it. 49 million is what I need, or this is what I got. I need 39 million, so I beat it by 10 million. That's a great cushion. Couple of things to note. Affinity really matters. We're certainly going to do more damage against this affinity with my team than with this team, I mean to say, than I would do probably against like Spirit Affinity. But there are certain champions that I could potentially sub in to try and mitigate that. Whenever I get a chance to test against Spirit Affinity, I will try those things and see, like, okay, is Spirit Affinity just a weak spot for us, or are we going to be able to find success? Another thing that I may do, I do have Geomancer, his aura, in the lead here. However, I may swap him out and put Godseeker in there potentially, which would increase her chances of being the stun target, especially against different affinities. But we gotta wait and kind of see how everything goes. But very, very, very excited about the progress of Clan Boss. Now, I am going to go ahead and assume, because I remember I made a video months ago, maybe now, where I was like, we did it, we beat Clan Boss, yay. And then the very next day it was like, oh no, it was just a fluke. But I wasn't beating it by 10 million, right? I wasn't having the massive gap that I'm currently having, right? 83.37 million is 13 million over what I need for a max chest on Ultra Nightmare. Maybe on Spirit Affinity, maybe I can only 4-key Ultra Nightmare and have to skip regular Nightmare, but for all the other affinities, I feel comfortable that we should be fine. So, obviously wait and see, but if I am correct and we have completed and solved our Clan Boss problem, then it's definitely time to start looking elsewhere. Like, what is next? Where do I want to progress next? The other thing that solving Clan Boss will do is allow me to be more liberal with my shards. Now, I am not pulling these void shards. I've said as much in previous videos. I really, really want to. I don't know exactly what my mercy is. I feel like what I'm seeing in my RSL helper is incorrect. It's only telling me 31. That doesn't seem accurate. But I don't have a single, other than the free ones, I don't have a single void legendary on the account. Oh, wait. I did get Angar, didn't I? No, wait. What account am I on? Oh, my God. How did I get on this account? I clicked on the wrong one when I tabbed back over here from RSL Helper. I was very confused. I was like, wait. I don't have those champions. Both of these are free void legendaries. I don't have any void legendaries, which is why I would want to pull my void shards. My mercy tracker is only telling me I've got 31 shards towards a void legendary, but that I don't think can be right because I've at least pulled this many void epics too, and it's telling me that I'm only 19 shards towards my next void epic, which I recently pulled Skull Crown. So I'm not really sure what my Mercy is. And yeah, no, that's right. Because I mean, I've pulled huge epics over the course of this time, right? So that being said, it's kind of a good time to not. Well, if I was over Mercy, if I was over 200, for example, then the chances double, right? So, and I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty confident that I'm right. So with Void Shards after 200 summons without a legendary, every shard you would get +5. But because the chances double, I would go from 1% to 6%, but that would be doubled, right? Double the chance, so that would be what, 12% right away. So if I was that close, I wouldn't have to go all the way to 220 shards or whatever it is. I don't know if that's actually how the math works. I've never bothered to actually research it, but let me get back to my point. Sorry for kind of getting sidetracked. My point is that by being competitive in Clan Boss and in a clan that kills both Ultra Nightmare and Nightmare, I get 4 chances every single day for Sacred, Void, and Ancients, right? Now, on my main account, which, I do spend money on this account, to be clear, but you'll see, like, I used a lot of Void Shards recently. I can't remember what for. I think it was a really good, probably, what did I, what did I, let me look at my Mercy, that might help me. I got Allele. I may have been high on Mercy, maybe. I'm not sure, but I did spend a lot of Voids very recently. It was probably a 15x for a champion I really wanted. I'd have to go back and check the video. But the point that I'm making here is that a lot of these shards that, 38 is a fair number of Voids. A lot of those come from Clan Boss. And that's kind of what I'm talking about here, is that I'm gonna be getting more shards regularly because of my higher scores on Clan Boss, which means more sacreds, more voids, more ancients, and that means I can be a little more flexible. So it's too early to call it and say, okay, I'm just gonna pull all these void shards. But if 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 I went into this, if for the 2 weeks leading up to this, I had Clan Boss on the farm that I think I have it on now, I would be spending my void shards during a 2x because I'd probably have 10 more ancient shards and probably 1 or 2 more sacred shards, right? And that's enough going into a summon rush to feel comfortable. Um, Especially knowing that for potential champion chases, I have a lot of stuff in the bag ready to go. So that's kind of my point that I'm saying, is you can have more flexibility with your shards. But I don't want to risk it because I think this new champion is so damn good. I mean, he basically brings everything that I'm currently using Godseeker for by buff extension, but he also brings shields. So we would have Ally Protect, we would have big shields, we would have buff extensions, and growing those shields, if I remember his kit correctly. So it could just be a direct replacement for Godseeker, or it could be a direct replacement for Ursula, and we just rely on less effective means of decrease attack than what I'm currently getting from Ursula. So there's a few different pros and cons to this whole thing, but I'm very excited to kind of see what the kit looks like for that champion completed. Also see what stats they come in with. I mean, the big thing to remember, Godseeker is only 99 speed, but legendaries tend to be at a higher speed than that. We've got 105 on Sun Wukong. I think UDK might be slow. Yeah, 97. What was Rathalos? 105, yeah. So, he is going to be defensive based, which I would expect he's going to be maybe a little slower, but who knows? If he's higher speed, base speed, then that means he's going to be a lot easier to build and make him faster. So we could see some really, really big buff extensions and mechanics like that. So, um, very, very excited to see what he can bring to the table, and that's why I'm saving my shards to go for him. It's very painful to save those shards. It's very fun to pull them, and I'd like to think I'm pretty high on Mercy. Am I at 185? It doesn't make sense. The Mercy tracker is not making sense to me. Oh, okay. So it's just a bug. The Mercy tracker is saying 185. That's how many shards it took for me to get Allele. Um, so it's incorrect. I'm not at 185. That's definitely not real. So, but I will be a good boy. I will save those shards, and maybe, if we are high on Mercy, then we'll get a legendary when we're pulling during a summon rush, and that's okay, right? I'm never going to complain, when I get a legend. Well, I will complain if I get a bad legendary, but um, I the way I look at it is, just imagine if I did pull today, right? And I got, what would be something that would upset me? Um, huh. Vitreous, right? If I got Vitreous, hmm, I would be very, very upset. I have him on a main account. He's terrible. So, yeah, but my point is there are definitely bad or weaker legendaries out there that void legendaries that I would be upset to get. So at the very least, let's say I pull my voids and I get one of those weaker void legendaries. Um, I would at least also be able to get uh, Wix. What's his name? I could just look it up. It's Wix something, isn't it? Vault Master Wix. Vault Keeper Wixwell. Hey, I was actually really close on that. Okay. Now let's talk about where I want to go next. Let's assume for a second that Clan Boss is solved. Where do I actually want to go next? I've teased it and said, well, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that. It feels like the natural progression would be Hydra. The thing that bothers me a little bit about Hydra is that I'm going to have to build champions that I don't want to build. What do I mean by that? So, right now on Hydra, I don't have a Provoker, a good one. I have Ultimate Death Knight. I can guarantee the first Provoke, but after that, it's only on a 30% or 50% chance. That's not enough for Hydra. Especially for Ultimate Death Knight, who I'm not exactly wanting to build fast. If I want to use him in other areas of the game, he's most popular in Arena. I would like to build him for Arena. So it's kind of change. I wouldn't really want to use him as my Provoker in Hydra. One option potentially could be Taragi, but again, it's only a 50% chance for one turn on a 3-turn cooldown. That's not enough. What you're really looking for are 2-turn cooldowns, or sorry, 2-turn provokes, or provokes that are on a short cooldown. Case in point, Skull Lord. So gives himself strengthen. When booked, has a 100% chance of placing provoke. And that's a place too. There's no attack here. So it would always land regardless of affinity. And it's a 2-turn... okay, so it's a 1-turn provoke, but it's a 2-turn cooldown. So we can cycle through that pretty quickly. Especially if we're bringing turn meter boosting, which I would, right? And we also get, he brings his own turn meter fill as well, and decrease attack on an AoE. So there's a bunch of value for Skull Lord, and I would like to use him as my provoker, but I could get a better provoker. That's kind of the tricky part. If I was to pull a better provoker, but I built Skull Lord, I may be at a point where it's like, oh man, I wish I didn't build him. You know, I wish I had held out for a different provoker or whatever. So that's kind of what I mean when I say I'm gonna have to build some champions that I may not otherwise want to build, because he's a good provoker for Hydra. I just don't know that he's the most consistent, the most effective provoker for Hydra. And as far as provoke goes on my account, I don't have that many. Because again, 1 turn provoke on a 4 turn cooldown, that doesn't cut it, and it's based on, and is based on an attack. And Dahlia is on an A1 with a low percent chance. So Husk isn't a bad choice, especially when booked. But again, it's also based on a hit, which is very frustrating to manage, because if it's weak affinity, then he has a much lower chance of landing it. That's the same issue I have with Ultimate Death Knight. And I've tried using these types of provokes, and they're just not. A1 provokes have never worked for me. They're always too inconsistent. Now, granted, maybe I didn't have the support structure around them to kind of, you know, get them going, taking enough turns with their A1. But the other thing, too, is I always get torn between wanting to use his A2 and, well, I have to use the A1 because there's no, the head is not under a provoke right now, and then I go to use it and I can't, or it fails, and then I, wasted a chance to do a bunch of damage. It's just, yeah, it gets frustrating for me. I'm not a big fan of them. So I don't know. I'm very torn on if I want to go for Hydra or not, because I don't really want to invest in champions that I don't think will work. The other and another one that I really would want to invest in that's very, very good. I looked right by her, didn't I? A champion that's extremely good for Hydra is Ugo. Now Ugo's good elsewhere too. I would absolutely love to build Ugo. So, you build Ugo, you build Skull Lord. I already have a pretty good team after that. We've got Ursula for decreased attack, revives, increased defense, increased attack, right? Deacon for decreased defense, Newt, Rathalos. I mean, I could even go with Rathalos and something like Mordecai even, because I have him now. So I've got some really good options when it comes to Clan Boss champions, but I have to build them, and it feels like it's kind of a long ways off. The other area that I could focus on would be Faction Wars. I'm kind of leaning in this direction. And the reason I'm leaning in this direction is because there's a ton of resources available to me, and I think I'd be able to progress very quickly through certain factions. I'm very strong right now in a lot of different factions. One of them is Dwarves. If you look at Dwarves, I've got 2 legendaries and 3 really good epics. If we do Morag, Geo, Melga, I'd probably do Morag because her ally attacks will benefit these guys better. So I feel like we're stacked in Dwarves. I don't really know. Undead has gotten a lot stronger with the recent pull of Suzerain. Dark Elves will be really strong here in a little bit. We'll have Ray and Mithrala plus obviously Kale and Coldheart. Maybe throw in a little Paragon or Painkeeper. So there are certain factions where I feel like I'm very strong right now. Not so much on Skinwalkers. Orcs feels pretty strong. We've got Seer, we've got Torture Helm, who's decent. Although he may get... probably not. Sand Slashed I like. Along with Kreela. Like, I feel like this is a pretty kind of strong-ish team there. Oh, Barbarians. That's the other one I was thinking of. We've got Syl, Armands, and Yakarl. If the enemy team gets a chance to take a turn, it's ridiculous. The biggest challenges I'm going to face are going to be the boss fights, but we do have a really good healer in Woad Painted now. And then, obviously, you have got High Katoon for turn meter control, too. So, I really like my raw... And Soul Bond for... Well, I don't really need Soul Bond because I have so much stun and crowd control from these three champions. But yeah, we're really good in Barbarians, and I feel like that's going to get me a lot of resources directly from Faction Wars, but also get me more resources for crafting Perception, which in my opinion is up there with one of the best sets. I mean, there's a lot of really good sets now, but Perception being a 2-piece set that gives really good benefits. I mean, accuracy is one of the hardest things to find in the game. Well, it's not the hardest thing to find. Maybe that's the wrong word to say it, but if you're building somebody with really high accuracy, you have to make sacrifices elsewhere, right? Think an accuracy chest, you're losing attack, defense, or HP, right? Whatever one you would want, you're losing it. And so to be able to get accuracy from a set that you could also have speed and accuracy as substats on those pieces. I mean, you guys saw what I was able to do with Geomancer in my latest video, so when I increased his speed. So, yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff you could do with a Perception set, and that's one of my favorite sets, and I just don't get to craft enough or forge enough of it because I don't have the resources. So that's why I really want to progress in Faction Wars to get more of those resources for Forge. That's kind of the direction that I'm leading. And you can get pretty far in Faction Wars with people at level 50. So I could definitely, Armands is my next 6-star. He can really carry the Barbarian faction while I leave Syl at 50. Yakarl would probably be my next 6-star after Armands, mostly because I want to use Yakarl in Arena. But I could also get a better champion than Yakarl along the way, right? Like, what if I pull those voids for the summon rush coming up, and I get Baron or something? It's like, okay, well that's my new Yakarl is now just for Faction Wars at that point. So I try to think and plan for those what if moments. And you remember, if you're new to the channel, that paid off. I didn't invest in a lot of epics early on because I said, well, what if I pulled a Geomancer? And then I pulled a Geomancer, and everyone was like, holy crap, way to go. And then I pulled, Ursula. Holy crap, way to go. I waited a really long time to level up my Seer because I kept pulling other champions that I wanted to level before her. But now I finally got her built. She's not strong enough yet. I also I'm very, very close to Archmage, who will really activate her a lot more by bringing these 3 buffs as well as other mechanics for turn meter control. That's going to improve her damage output by bringing those buffs to get more damage out of her abilities. So I'm looking forward to using him and her together. So he is an eventual 6-star as well. Just a lot of people that it's so frustrating. Okay, that's a bad word because it's gonna piss people off. It would piss me off if I heard someone say it, but it is a little bit of a challenge to have this many great champions. What direction do I go in? We've got so many champions to level up. Who goes next, right? So, and by the way, Hydra, I do have Hydra on, I wouldn't say farm, but I'm able to do normal consistently. And I'm not prepared to really go higher than that until I get Mithrala, because I don't have a Hexer. Mithrala would be my Hex champion as well as my cleanser. So Mithrala needs to be unlocked, I feel like, before I can start building more complex teams for Hydra. And I'm talking about the teams I mentioned earlier, before building Skull Lord and before building Ugo even. Although Ugo is still very good and could be used elsewhere. So the point that I'm making is I think Faction Wars is the way to go. I think the Dwarven faction will be my primary focus after Armand's gets 6-starred. I will level up Syl and Yakarl and gear them. You'll see she's a little bit geared. I'll get her ascended, get her at least a neck as well for some extra defense, and see what kind of progress I can make. I need to get him leveled and geared, and then gear up Yakarl. So what I'm thinking I'll do now, and I talked all that out, but I hadn't made up my mind until I talked this out with you guys. It's very cathartic to be able to kind of like spit out my ideas. So my plan right now is to shift my focus to Faction Wars and consistently pursue that. So I'm going to go Armand's as my next 6-star. He'll probably get leveled during the next upcoming champion training event that will be associated with the Fusion. Champion training tournament or event, either one, he'll probably get 6-star during that time. Then after that, I'll go Yakarl unless I pull something good during the Summon Rush. And that'll probably be the only other person that I 6-star until we get the new Fusion. Then he will probably be my next my next 6-star after Yakarl. I feel like I can fit Yakarl in before him, but I may be slower than I think and may not have the ability to do Yakarl next. But I really like Yakarl for as my 4th arena nuker because of his affinity. He can hit hard. I could also use him in Hard Fire Knight. Now, you guys may be like, what do you mean Hard Fire Knight? You're not doing Hard Fire Knight yet. Well, I could be. I'm very confident that I could be. We have a Newt. We have a ally attack in Kreela. Granted, it's not the whole team. It's only 3 random allies, which I'm a little less thrilled. I'm kind of not thrilled about, but if I was to combine her with like Yakarl and Newt, and then maybe throw in Neldor, would probably be my preferred choice there. Then we should be able to do something good with that team in Hard Fire Knight. Is kind of my thought. Might bring Cold Heart too, just for the heal reduction and then the big hit. Now that's a very weak team. We can't allow, like, we have to land those freezes, but that's kind of my thought process. So I don't know, but either way, I've made my decision. If this team holds up in Clan Boss, Faction Wars is where I'm going to go next, and I'll start with Barbarians. I think I said Dwarves, but Barbarians makes more sense because Armand's is going to be 6-starred, and then I could do Yakarl next. I'll probably leave Syl at 50 unless there's a scenario where I feel like I need to get Syl to get more value out of Syl or something. I feel like Armand's is just going to make the waves irrelevant, um, provided he is fully leveled and geared and with the proper accuracy and all that stuff, right? So, um, and who else do I have in that faction? Obviously, I know I said Soul Bond, who I don't really need. Haikatoon would definitely be in there. I'd probably do Haikatoon and Soul Bond for a little while, but for the boss fights, I might need Woad Painted. It depends. I don't remember what their boss does in Barbarian Faction War. Which matters because if it's a boss that like can one shot people, that's those are the most annoying ones. I know Undead is one of those. That was my hardest faction for me to progress on my main account. So who knows? But yeah, we're gonna focus on barbarians moving forward. So I'm excited for the upcoming champion training because I should be able to get them done. I'm going to save this key. I have an extra key because I did spend gems just to make a video for you guys. That, again, that was covered in my last video that wasn't episodic like this one. And that's the status of the account. So we've got, hopefully, Clan Boss complete, and we've got a plan for the future in Faction Wars. Other areas of the game are doing very well. I don't know how this happened, right? Oh, because I'm on normal. On Doom Tower hard, last rotation, I couldn't get past the spider, but I can beat the spider on normal. Until I get a real cleanser, which will probably be, well, I have a cleanser, but I don't really want to build a rare cleanser if I don't have to, but yeah, the spider boss on hard is a bit of a problem, so I probably will only get this far in hard Doom Tower. But normal Doom Tower, I feel very confident. We're crushing. I haven't beat this difficulty yet. I don't know if there's a boss that I may get stuck on as we go, but I'm with Newt now. I feel very confident. So we should get quite a few resources from this. So Doom Tower is going really well. I don't really feel a need to progress there. Cursed City, I'm putting off. Cursed City is frustrating for a free-to-play account, and especially a new free-to-play account, because I don't have the depth of roster to complete some stuff. Like, for example, in this fight right here, oh, actually, I do have some HP burners. Here I don't really have. Do I have it? Maybe I'm just maybe I need to give this a second look. Maybe I gave up too early. Yeah, the only cleanse I have would be a very, very, very mini cleanse from Ugo against Spider, Nether Spider. I don't have enough Awakenings here for this one. This is on normal. So, Cursed City, I feel like is a ways away as far as progress goes on this account. And even on my main account, I've only recently killed the last boss for the first time. So and I feel like I can just keep on doing the minimum chest on Hydra until I get Mithrala. And that unlocks a ton of Hydra potential for me because I finally get Hex, right? So Faction Wars, Barbarians, and then after that I'll have Mithrala, and I'll probably be able to focus on Hydra, but books are a real big problem and are probably going to continue to be a real big problem. You know, Newt still missing a lot of books on him. You know, we want this to be 100, so we're looking at 4 books that I want, but 6 books total. And you'll see I only have 1. But, again, this is where unlocking Clan Boss, you guys are going to start to see that I'm going to get a lot more resources. I'm going to have a lot more books coming in from Clan Boss. I'm going to be making progress in other areas of the game, right? So we're talking books coming from Doom Tower. Maybe not normal so much, but yeah, so no legendary books on this path. So it's more Doom Tower hard. Can I even look at Doom Tower hard rewards? Yeah. So you'll see that there'll be... Are there really no legendary books? There we go. Legendary book. Legendary book, yeah. I mean, I got to get pretty high to get those, which is easier said than done, but I'll be getting more resources as the game goes on, which means I can start getting these legendaries leveled up faster. But for right now, it's just it's a lot harder. All right, I've rambled on enough. I've gone way over time. I'm sorry, guys. I just was really excited to talk about the progress that I've made and all the plans I have, and it's very like cathartic is what I said, but it's better. It's more of a eye opening to talk this stuff out with you guys and kind of give me an idea of what I want to do. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.